Hello and welcome back to the show. Uh, Good news for everybody who, we're dealing with the new microphone here, so it's a bit of a learning curve. Good news for everybody who was listening to yesterday's episode, or I guess today, it's all a mess in my head. Episode 16, where I was violently drunk. We are sober tonight. There's no drinking. That may change. We'll see. Enjoy the dulcet sounds of me drinking McDonald's Coke. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, today was a rough one. Your boy was hung over, like, violently. And I'm a little too old to be drinking like that anymore nowadays. I definitely forgot how much a fucking hangover hurts. So, nice little welcome change of pace to take me to the way back in my 20s when I was a big drunk. So, we've got all the new equipment hooked up. This was actually a lot simpler to figure out than I thought it would be, to tell you the truth. And it's kind of nice because now I can fiddle with the monitoring and all the levels and shit without banging the mic arm and you hear it through the fucking Rode microphone. So this will be the first one with the Samsung Q2U, and we'll see how we like it because I am in desperate need of a second microphone for guests. I already have feelers out to a few people. The old friend said she'd come on. Trying to get Ruth to come on. She's dancing around it, but I think that would be an interesting one, just kind of us to talk theology and how we kind of both ended up where we're at now spiritually. And then today, in the shower, I had the very intrusive thought to say, why don't you text you know who and see if she wants to come on the show and defend her position or rebut any of mine. So I guess we'll see if that happens. And then I'm sorry, guys, I'll have to break my promise to you, but you never have to hear about her again because she'll be literally on the show. May and I are supposed to have plans tonight, so if that goes, so when, you know what, the Rizlord and I were talking about this today. The young man stopped by to see me. If that goes well, and I should say when, but we're still such a pessimist. If that goes well, I will have her jump into the recording and just throw a little something for you. May's message coming in live and hot. So, yeah, we don't really have a topic tonight. I did have, there is a lot of fucking noise translation through the mic arm. Whoops. Yeah, we have no thought tonight, and we'll see how far we get here being sober, but, you know, I'll do what I can. I have several thoughts, actually, right now that I would love to discuss, but they're all of the forbidden kind, and she who shall not be named. So we are going to have to kind of dance around that. And I had the thought to record one more about her and never release it, just kind of for me, and have it be the lost episode 2, the April inning or whatever. But then I was listening back to episode 15, and I had said at the end, like, I can't keep making podcasts about you, like I can't keep thinking about you, like this is just making it so much harder to move on. I have to let go, and here I am a few days later ignoring my own fucking advice. So past Rackham, you were right. Current Rackham is just being a baby back bitch. So you know what, actually, speaking of debating theology and all that, you guys might not know, because I don't know that I've ever mentioned her outside of the lost episode, but Kayla, and that is a real name, shock horror, the one who actually got me to my church for the first time, had expressed when I started this 2 weeks ago. I was going to say way back when I started this, but it's basically been 2.5 fucking weeks. Had expressed interest in kind of coming on and being a guest. And again, that would be an interesting theological debate perspective blah, 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 blah. I'm sure I could ply the landlord with a couple whiskeys or something and get him on. Like, I don't know. As much fun as it is to kind of sit here and shoot the shit with myself and run my mouth, I think it would be fun to have guests on. And, this setup's pretty portable. Like, I don't have to take the mic arm. These mics come with stands that we can use, and the Focusrite's like the size of a paperback, and it's 4 cables. Like, in the iPad, it's not a whole computer or anything. It's just my iPad. And honestly, I could do this on the phone. So this whole setup is pretty portable. The only downside being like sound treatment, but I don't have any in the apartment. And for the most part, I don't notice like a ton of echoes. Like the road picked up a lot of background noise. Like the episode where the dryer was the special guest, and a few times I've left the ice machine on. Like, so we're gonna do a couple here with the Samsung and see kind of what it picks up, because I was watching reviews for this thing, and from like 5 inches away from the back, the noise rejection is actually pretty good for how cheap this mic was. So, and then eventually, if I get right into this, well, I'm sure I'll dump a couple grand into equipment and this, that, and the other. But yeah, the setup is very, very portable. So it can all kind of go in a backpack, and I can go to whoever. Hello, old friend. I see you texting me. Yeah, I can really podcast from wherever. I can do it in the truck if I want, because all I really need is power for the iPad. And even then, I can run the Focusrite off the iPad I watched a video. I think the iPad can do it for like 3 hours before you're in real fucking trouble. But, so that's something to think about. If I don't want to have all these people over at my house, throw the whole fucking setup in a bag and away we go. So, excuse me. So, bear with me here. Dead air. At least we made it past 7 minutes before the dead air really kicked in. No, okay. Smash, bang, boom. Don't put the phone down there. I want to lean back here. Can I do this? Can we do this without fucking everything up? So far, yes. This fucking mic arm. I think that's the next, like, big upgrade for this is... Okay. Yeah, this is all translating very poorly through the mic. That's the next big upgrade here is we need a new mic arm. And we've kind of relocated. See, this is what I'm saying. I need a proper fucking mic arm for this. We've kind of relocated the whole podcast setup into the kitchen and off of my desk, because I'm getting a table here and I want to set it up so it's like a face-to-face little poor man's podcast studio that I can do with people. But until then, I didn't want to be crawling around under my desk. This is great podcasting. Like, here's how I set the fucking podcast up today, guys. Oh, man. I'm a bag of shit today. Get your head in the game here, fella. Fuck, we're recording. Dead air here, guys. And you can blame the old friend for this one, because I'm texting her. Watching a movie. What are you all watching? Oh, this is real dead air. Sorry, guys. Send. You know what? Let's ask Ruth if she has anything to add to the podcast, because I asked May, but May's working. So double also. Oh yeah, here we go. Solid fucking 3 minutes of dead air. Recording the Not Lodcast podcast. Anything you'd like to add? Honestly, I know this episode is going to be a fucking pile of shit. So, stay strapped for that. It's going to be just a great time. And you know what? Let's just check a few more things while I'm sitting here on my fucking phone, because I'm a real piece of shit. Okay, and hi, back. Come here, microphone. Get in. Oh, crash, bang, boom. The cable doesn't want to play nice. Fuck, these XLR cables are fucking girthy, so. Hopefully that sound rejection for that is a little bit better. I should look into, like, how to set up a mute button or a cough button or whatever, but You know me, lazy to the nth degree. Yeah, this is kind of, I don't know, because I can record that whole fucking episode 15 where I'm sitting there like, I'm done with this, I'm done thinking about you know who, like I have to intentionally move on, but like, and I can try and direct my thoughts like as much as I want and stay on top of them, but like shit's still gonna creep through, and I'm being foolish, and I sent her 2 drunk voice notes 2 nights in a row, like the fucking piece of shit that I am. So I'm not helping myself here, really. Jilly would be so disappointed in me if she knew that this is what I was doing. So sorry, the therapist. Oh, hopefully the mic didn't pick that up. Good grief. Gross. So yeah, I'm really not doing myself any favors here because I need to be redirecting my focus away from her, and I kind of just keep finding myself drawn back to it. So you guys had to have known that I was going to break that promise. And like, it's not going to be a whole episode about her because I have other things on the brain. But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we do need to do the Lost episode 2 and have it just be for me. And maybe I'll post it one day when y'all have forgotten about her. I'll be like, surprise, motherfucker, guess who's back? I am a picture of health here. Why don't we chat about, let's yarn about Ruth for a little bit. So she's kind of brought the Christian side of me back out here a little bit in the last few days, where she's been going through some things, and like we trade voice notes because I am just fat. It's my new favorite way to like communicate. Like, send me a fucking voice note. I don't care if it's 10 minutes long. I want to hear what you're thinking, and I like hearing people's voices. And then it's easier for me when I'm drinking to be like, I'm not attempting to type this message to you. Like, here's a fucking voice note. You can reply however you'd like. But so Ruth and I will trade voice notes like all day. And they're like long ones too. I think she sent me 2 today, and it was like 12 minutes in total. And she's kind of going through some things and stuff right now. And she's reached out to me more than once this past week and been like, you know, I've got this, that, and the other going on. I'd really appreciate it if you could just like pray for me, throw that out there. And like, I don't know if you guys have gathered, I'm very, and I hate the term because I hate that there's labels for everything now, but I'm very neurodivergent. But I can, okay, hang on a second, guys. That was incredibly foul. I really hope the mic didn't pick that up. Yeah, I'm not like your typical, well, okay, I'm not like the other girls. That's me. Quirky to a T. So it's kind of like public speaking and that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not very good at it, says me, who's literally recording a podcast right now. But like, there's no audience physically here. Like, people might listen to this, and I know that. And I know people do because I see the stats page when I upload these. So it's not some great mystery to me that, you know, people are listening to this, listening to me talk about like the most painful, personal, private moments of my life from the last year. So if you know me, know you fucking don't shut your mouth. But like public speaking and stuff like that, and even speaking in front of people I don't know them that well. Like, it's always kind of been difficult for me. I tend to just be quiet and shy and keep to myself in new groups of people until I really know you, or I've had time to text you and you kind of get a sense for my train wreck of a personality. But, and I, you know, I've prayed in front of a group of people like twice until this week. So I got shanghaied into it at a tech rehearsal run one night. I didn't realize we were doing a roundtable prayer, and I waited too long and I couldn't escape it. And then I was in a men's group last year, and one of the last gatherings we had, they'd been bugging me all semester to like, come on, man, like nobody's judging you, blah, blah, blah. And I managed to sneak one in. So Ruth has asked me like a few times, like, could you pray for me? I'd really appreciate it. And I just kind of like, haha, dance around and blah, blah, blah. But she was really struggling this week. So I kind of, on the voice note, I threw it in there, and it was just kind of like just a fucking rambling mess, honestly. But she really appreciated it. So I don't know. It's that story did have a purpose, I swear. That 3 minutes of tripping over my own dick to get to the fucking point. But it's, and her and I have talked about this too. Like, it's very interesting that talking to her is kind of drawing me back towards that, but I'm also still so firmly planted in like the world. And you know, I've kind of danced around it with her, and I've been very upfront with her to be like, Ruth, I just want to be very clear here. Like, if you're expecting some grand return to the faith from me, like, I don't know that, I think you're going to be waiting a while here. And, you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm leading you astray or anything, because I was very guilty of that in the past, and I still feel very bad about it, that I ended up kind of, what happened. So, like, I'm very upfront with her about where I'm at, and she knows. Like, I was messaging her last night, and I was like, hey, just a heads up before we keep talking, like, I am drunk, like, white girl wasted right now. So, you know, if you don't want to talk to me when I'm in this state, I totally understand, and we'll talk tomorrow. But so far, she's been cool with it, and she was very kind of supportive of me being just biblically hungover this morning. She had a good laugh at my expense a little bit, but that's fine. I deserved it. I'm a grown man who made poor choices. But she kind of reminds me, when we get to talking like this, about like the good of it all and why I kind of was initially attracted to it in the first place, like the community and then the support you find there and kind of all of that. Like, and not to say that like I'm taking advantage of her kindness or anything, because I try and be as supportive for her as I can, because she's kind of entering this strange new season in her life where she's cutting away a lot of what she finds to be dead weight and temptation. So I try to be a good little egg for her and support her the best I can. And sorry guys, I got a fucking frog in my throat tonight. Am I showing my age with that saying? Sorry, we are shock horror on fucking Snapchat again, like a real piece of shit. But I'm curious about something, and for once it doesn't have to do with you know who. So, I feel like I had a point to this, and it's just kind of gotten away from me. I don't know. And I kind of want to, like, she says she's going to listen to the podcast, and I don't know if she will, so I feel moderately safe talking about this. And Ruth, if you do listen to this, sorry, maybe I'll have brought it up by then, but I'm just kind of curious for, like what are your expectations for this relationship? Because right now we're just kind of friends, and we're encouraging each other as, like, brothers and sisters in Christ, and this, that, and the other, and then, but I can definitely see myself being like romantically attracted to her, but at the same time, like, I don't know that we would work, because obviously we're living in very different worlds right now, and I have some kind of issues with the expectations for a Christian relationship, and her and I have talked about that, actually, about how, because she brought it up pretty early on, where she was like, you know, you need a godly man and a woman who's willing to submit to him, to trust that he is seeking God and is in all things to lead them both in the relationship. And then we've kind of gone back and forth about this, where I'm like, you know, maybe it's just because I came to it so late, or just the culture we live in now, but like that kind of language like makes me really uncomfortable, because while it's true that yes, I would like a relationship that kind of has traditional gender roles to a degree, the language of like the woman must submit, the man must lead, like that makes me uncomfortable, obviously. And that's kind of not what I'm also looking for in a relationship. I know there are men out there who just love their women like that because most of those dudes are pieces of shit. Sorry, man. Whereas I'm kind of very much looking for an equal partner who will be an equal, basically. What a stupid way to say that. And like a teammate, and I don't know. It's all the things that, like that. Ugh, sorry, breathing is hard. I'm stuffed up again. Chalk horror. I don't know. That was what I was gonna do. Actually, was dig through the old fucking therapy homework and see if I could find something to kind of run through. But I don't know. And then like the other thing is, and Ruth, I'm sorry if you get to this point before we ever talk about this. And like, there's no expectations for me here. Like, I'm not expecting Ruth and I to end up together or anything, because right now it's just fun. It's friends supporting each other, and she's encouraging me, and I'm asking her questions, and it's just kind of like, I really enjoy these like theological discussions. I always have, where it's like I'm having this struggle, and I know that we're supposed to X, Y, and Z, and it says it in, A, B, and C in the Bible, but like, I'm really struggling to kind of follow that. I want to fall back to the old ways of like this, that, and the other. And then we can kind of go back and forth about it. And it's not even a debate. It's just, she's a much more mature Christian than I am. So I can kind of pick her brain about stuff and blah, 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 blah. So, Jeez. Oh, here it comes again, guys. Fuck. So sorry. I am a disgusting monster. And you know what? There was a girl before. It was like right after January and I had broken up. It was way too soon to be dating. But, and I'm not even going to bother giving her a nickname because she doesn't even live here. Shay. And we had tried to make something work. And the big hang up for me, because she was very, very Christian. She might have been Catholic, actually. And that was a big part of like why we never ended up working out. It's just their beliefs are too different from ours. And I just could never kind of just kind of, I could never think of a way to like square that circle, right? Like, they are so different if you don't know. Sorry, we are fucking brain dead tonight. Maybe that'll be the title of the episode. Head empty, no thoughts. And just like as an example, because it's just, this episode's a rambling pile of shit. Like, there was one time where she had sexual thoughts about me, and she felt so guilty about it that she went to her priest. And who's this? The old friend. Oh, Hotel Transylvania is a fucking banger, though. Don't you shit talk Hotel Transylvania, the old friend. How dare you? Yeah, she went to her priest, and as penance, she got a 3-day fast, and she listened. And I guess that's the power of faith and belief and stuff, right? But like, I was like, because you had sexual thoughts, you don't get to eat for 3 days? And then her and I actually kind of got into an argument about it, because I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, this is not what it's supposed to be about. Like, yes, fasting is a part of the faith, but it's supposed to be it's supposed to be your choice, and it's supposed to be meant to, and this is kind of how Catholics defend it too, is it's like, use this time to refocus your mind, to keep your eyes on God and repent from the sin that whatever landed you here. So on the one hand, I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, it just seems cruel because you had thoughts. Like, I don't know. So anyway, that never really worked out. And her and I would kind of, and for shit like that, just our beliefs weren't really compatible. And I had a few talks with Dan, my pastor, about this. But my thing, that in the bridge that was too far for her and for me, is that I wasn't willing to like marry somebody or date to marry someone knowing that there would be, this is a very like TMI episode. I might have put that in the description. A lot of talk about sex in an episode about God, but sorry, I hit the shit with my shirt. What is going on with my throat today? Fuck. I wasn't willing to date somebody long term with marriage being the end goal, and I was definitely not willing to marry somebody who I hadn't slept with. And that was a bridge too far for her, and her not, and this sounds shitty, but like her not wanting to have sex till marriage was a bridge too far for me. But I think, and especially for me, child of divorce, like watching my parents kind of muddle through this, like I only want to get married once. Fuck nah. April and I used to joke about this. Nice little reminisce down memory lane. I'm only getting married once. I refuse to get divorced. It is just not an option for me. So I need to be extra sure that the person I'm marrying is the person I'm going to stay married to, because divorce is not an option. I refuse. So, and she was the same way from the Catholic perspective. So I don't know. I don't want to end up married to somebody and then we sleep with each other after we're married and turned out that we fucking hate it. So yeah, that is kind of like my hard line in the sand, which makes me a very bad Christian, I know, but I will not marry somebody that I haven't slept with. So kind of really limits my options here, unfortunately. But what do you do when you live in a shoe, right? And I don't know how we got here from Ruth, but you know, I have a feeling Ruth will remain a friend, which is fine, honestly. Like, not every woman who comes into my life needs to be this prospective potential. I'm fucking stone sober. What is wrong with me tonight? Needs to be this like potential romantic partner. Like, I go back and forth on if men and women can be friends. So, you know what, guys? I'm just gonna take a quick break-a-reno here and maybe dig around in the old brain for some topics, because we are just kind of running our mouth and rambling. So I will be back shortly. All right, so we're back. Bonk, as I smash the fucking mic like a dummy. Okay, so let's be done talking about religion and God and all that, because oh good, old friend, she's been given the heads up that this episode contains is rated G for God. There are mentions of the Lord in this episode. So, okay. So I had this thought when I was driving home here this evening, that it might be interesting, and this is good practice for me anyway, because I want to do this, to go back into older therapy homework. And this isn't like a true Therapy Eve session episode. This is just kind of, I'm hurting for content, so what do we got kicking around in the old fucking phone? Turn the gain down here a little bit. We are clipping. Naughty, senorita. So, hang on, we're going to make some noise here. This is so unprofessional. This is what a pile of shit this episode is. This is what I get for trying to do one fucking stone sober. What is going on with the gain here? Why am I all of a sudden clipping? I was fine the first half. Anyway, so this is more from when I first started therapy. So like April and I would have still been together. This is from August 28th. And this is very early days. Like Jilly was trying to get me to like see myself. Oh, we're turning, we're back. Jilly was trying to get me to see myself in like a more positive light. And looking at this, I like apologized to her in the first line. So clearly I need fucking therapy. But sorry, we are multitasking here very poorly. So sorry to the audience of fucking 4 people. You guys ought to be used to this dead air shit by now. Yeah. That's the good thing about this mic, is the pickup pattern might not pick a lot of that shit up if I get out of the polar pattern. Anyway, so yeah, Jilly was trying to get me to even say something nice about myself, which is fucking crazy how far we've come in like 2 months here. If this is from August 28th, so what are we now? We're October 14th. That's fucking bananas how far we've come. And, you know, I really should do these as 2 separate episodes, but I was running out of shit to talk. So, you know what? I had this idea, and maybe we'll do one of these when I'm feeling slow or sober. So, because obviously the podcast is much better when I'm drunk. Okay. So the homework for this point was think about childhood experiences that were impactful to me. And you know what? Actually... sorry, messages from women. So this is when Jill was kind of trying to dig around in my childhood to see if there was anything to be dug out there. And we've talked about this on the show before, where I'm like feeling guilty that I'm letting the therapist down because I'm like, I want to tell you, I want to give you an answer. I legitimately have no memory of this. So this is why we need to get the sister on the show. But yeah, Jilly was just trying to mine the childhood for some stuff to try and find maybe the cause to a lot of this stuff about me. So I remember this being like very personal, and I was like really struggling at this point. August 28th. I'm wondering, so April and I actually would have been split up by now. So this was very negative just because of where I was at personally. But I think I phoned this one in actually a little bit too. And this is the funny thing is Jilly's always like, when the first time I had to submit one of these like writing ones, she was like, you didn't tell me like you can write. And I was like, well, I can't really anymore. Like it's a skill I kind of let rust away. So it always kind of made me feel bad when I would do one like this and I'd fucking phone it in and then she'd tell me I did such a good job. And I'm like, Jilly, are you sure about that? Because I fucking phoned this in yesterday. So, all right, let's dig in here. Think about childhood experiences that were impactful to me. So, obviously, my parents' divorce was very impactful, creating all kinds of fun trust issues that followed me into adult life, as well as the lack of what a healthy relationship should look like. So, we have spoken about this, about how the sister and I have kind of had to model what a healthy relationship should look like based on our observations of the world mostly, like because our parents were not good examples for us. Fuck my mother especially. And then the trust issues. Yeah, this kind of ties back into Jill saying like everyone who's ever told you they loved you has kind of, that wasn't not even wasn't a family member, but like we've talked about it. Everyone who's ever told you they loved you, like, has let you down or betrayed you or hurt you in some way. So, of course, you're going to have all these odd little trust issues. And then back to the homework. I think being forced into the protector/caretaker role so early was probably very impactful. I felt being the only man, in quotations around, because I was like a fucking 8-year-old boy. I had to protect my mom and sister, especially my sister, since my mom put that responsibility on me as well. It was often left to me to look after Taylor at home and at school. I'm sure that's some form of parentification. Not sure what the long-term effects are. Well, I'd say the long-term effects are this protector-caretaker role that I still carry to this day. I was talking to the old friend about this last night, actually, because she's kind of struggling with something right now, and I just messaged her, and I was like, I want to help you so bad, and there's nothing I can do for you, and it like is making my skin crawl because like I want to protect you, I want to take care of you, like I just want to help you somehow, and I can't, and I don't know, that just kind of makes me itch, unfortunately. So thankfully she's very understanding of my psychosis. Thank you, old friend. We appreciate you. But yeah, there was a lot of that drilled into me as a kid, like take care of your sister, look out for your sister, you have to watch out, like this, that, and because my mom was such a junk as a parent. So, and that's definitely carried into adulthood, and I've noticed it in like my romantic relationships too. And then some of this comes from my dad, who when we were children like kind of showed his love with gifts and money and blah blah blah. So I picked up a lot of that too. I was a hyperactive and impulsive child, which often led to being punished. That sentence feels very clinical, but I had problems with impulse control that led me to act without thought of the consequences fairly often. That behavior carried into teenage years and even into adulthood. A favorite refrain of my dad's was how I didn't ever think of the consequences of my actions. So, this new equipment for the podcast is a perfect example of this. It was the thought that entered my head, like, because the old mic worked fine. I didn't need to upgrade. And the way I justified it to myself is like, well, we want to have guests on the show. And I don't know that we could do it with the setup we have now. And I'm not going to look into it because I don't want to be proven wrong. I want to buy a new toy or whatever. So, and I have kind of a very weird relationship with money as well. So, yeah, this all kind of ties together to poor impulse control and poor money management. So lucky fucking me. I was often told that I was being too much as a kid because I had too much energy, I would assume. This is probably just undiagnosed ADHD. And we've kind of talked about this podcast, how I went to get diagnosed for ADHD as an adult, and then the psychiatrist was much more concerned with my depression, rightfully so. Because I had tried, crash, bang, boom. I had tried to, deal with the depression and maybe get some medication or something for it. And then I kind of moved away from that because my sister was in the medical field. And I kind of leaned away from that once she started telling me about like how SSRIs can kind of fuck you up and they're hard to quit if they don't work and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, maybe I'll find another way to deal with this. But I had gone to a doctor, who was at the time a family doctor I was trying out, or a primary care physician for my American followers, and told her a lot of this stuff. And she said, well, have you tried acupuncture? And that was the last time I went and saw that doctor, because I basically had told her, like, when I'm at work, I think every day about climbing up the crane and jumping off. And her response was, have you tried acupuncture? So for everyone who says, like, Canada's healthcare system is just the bee's knees and the cat's ass and blah, 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 there's really a lot of downsides to it. Just fucking trust me. Ask my sister. Maybe I'll get her to spin that yarn when I get her on. But, yeah, and my mother often, and I hate to use this word, but my mom fucking gaslit me like crazy about this. She just would say, you don't have ADHD, you don't have ADD, like you were just a kid, like you're just this, you're just that, like... So thanks, Mom. You could have gotten me diagnosed and medicated, and I could have had a radically different life, but you just had to be right, didn't you? Anyway, often left to my own devices, not alone in the house or anything, but just left to entertain myself because my mom was sick. Constantly told by my grandparents and aunt and uncle I needed to look out for my mom. Very much internalized that, I think. Probably why I overlooked and flat out ignored her bad behavior for as long as I did. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone in the family would tell me, like, once my dad had moved away, like, you have to look over your mother, you have to watch over your mother, this, that, and that, your mother. So I kind of, I don't know. And, my mom and I have talked about this, about how I kind of grew up too fast, trying to be the man of the house at fucking 10 years old or whatever. But I really tried to believe the best in her for way too long because of that. I think where it was like, I have to look out for my mom and protect her from everything, until it was too much. I couldn't look past it anymore after what she did. So, I'm not sure, Dilly. I don't often think of my childhood anymore, which I'm sure on its own says something. But trying to remember what it was like before I moved to Calgary is difficult. I just remember a lot of feeling like a burden or too much or too difficult to handle. A lot of misplaced anger towards my father. Just a lot of my mom being constantly exasperated by my father. My stepdad trying to get me to not act out so much. Never fitting in at school. Never having a core group of friends. Never really belonging anywhere. And that sense of not belonging persists to this day, interestingly. So... trying to remember what it was like before I moved to Calgary is difficult. Yeah, so we've talked about this, like these memory blackouts that I have from childhood and from junior high and high school and even into my 20s, but some of that might just be what a drunk I was. But And this is funny how this is kind of translated into adulthood. Oh, there she is. Hello, senorita. How was work? I remember a lot of feeling like a burden. Yes. And you know what? I actually talked to Dan about this. The very first counseling session we had, I said, I have a hard time asking for help because I don't want to feel like a burden to anybody. And even with all the work I've done, I still feel that way a lot of the time and kind of deal with my own shit on my own. And very clearly that works so well that now that I'm in therapy and have created every fucking romantic relationship I've ever been in, like, oh, that's a whole other thing. But a lot of misplaced anger towards my father. That was my mother being my fucking mother and telling us that, Dad was such a piece of shit, this, that, and the other. Like, I can't believe he's fucking mic arm. I can't believe he's remarried, blah, blah, blah. It took me a long time to get over that and kind of realize, like, my dad did the best he could with the cards he was dealt and, was never late on child support and was always there when we needed him. And it was just my mom being my mom and refusing to move on with her life. So my mom being constantly exasperated by my behavior. Yeah. Well, now it's funny how the tables have turned and I'm just fucking exasperated by her behavior. So, and then this never fitting in, never belonging. Like, Jillian and I have spoken quite a bit about this, and I'm pretty sure she's convinced it's the tism, but like, and actually I think I've spoken about this on the podcast too, because I remember telling a yarn about the Frenchman asking me about this, but yeah, it just kind of like, I really have never felt like I belonged or fit in anywhere. I always kind of felt like the odd man out, like I'm missing some social cue that everyone else is picking up on. And just even to this day, as like now, currently I struggle with this. So it's kind of interesting to see the damage that gets done to us in childhood, how it's like a force multiplier into adulthood. Yeah. And then just this last paragraph. The more I think about it, the more it kind of boils down to being told constantly that I was too much and constantly being in trouble and screamed at. And then the older I got, the more I noticed how I didn't fit in and couldn't seem to read social situations as well as my peers. I wonder if being told I was too much constantly during my formative years might have something to do with my lack of self-confidence. Monocle emoji. That's funny. Oh yeah. So I can tell just reading this that like I was very low when I wrote this, and I think this would have been fresh off the back of April and I breaking up. So like, no wonder I was kind of a bag of shit. But sorry, we are being distracted. Senorita's here and checking something on the old phone. Yes, there she is. She has done work. Constantly being in trouble and screamed at. Yeah, I was not a good kid. I was always in trouble. Mom was always yelling at me for something, and then my dad was always exasperated with my behavior, and yeah, and then I didn't fit in and couldn't read social situations. So, like, shock horror that this stuff has lasting effects into adulthood, honestly. But oh, we just totally lost our train of thought here. But yeah, and like, there's no real happy ending here right now because I'm still working through a lot of this. Obviously, I haven't won therapy yet. I'm still dealing with a lot of this shit. So, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know that I'll ever really fully have the social awareness that I want, just because the touch of the tism that I have. And I don't know that I'll ever be the popular guy with the big group of friends and this, that, and the other, because like, just the way I am, like, I don't need a big group of friends. I need one or two or three like really good friends who I know are loyal to me and I'm loyal to as well. Like, and that's really just the Frenchman. And then I've kind of adopted the Rizlord, but I don't know that we'll have that kind of relationship just with the age difference. And it's kind of like a mentor-mentee kind of relationship. So And then obviously like a romantic partner, I would like to have that kind of relationship with too, where we're friends and best friends before, as fucking childish as that is, before, well, not before, kind of simultaneously. But I don't know. It's very important to me that any partner I end up with, we have that friendship as well, because January and I had the friendship, and then I don't know, the rest, it was kind of everywhere else that we never shored up and was lacking. So I don't know, guys. This one was kind of a nothing burger. I seem to every couple is just kind of a bag of shit episode like this. So I really sat down with no thought in my head, and I was just trying to kill time until now, basically. So, no, goodbye, train of thought. Wave goodbye, kids. Say so long to the choo-choo train. I'll listen back to this. I'm sure I'll post it, but it's kind of a fucking nothing burger and no thoughts, and it's just kind of a good test for the new equipment, because I needed something long to listen back to see if I need to adjust mic positioning or levels or gain or anything. So, thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully you made it all the way through this one. I know this one was a rough listen, and not for the reasons like 13 and 15 were. I really appreciate everybody who does listen. Yeah, in my silly little podcast about my silly little problems, it's kind of fun to know that somebody's listening. So thanks for listening, and have a good day, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. And I will catch you all in the next one. Hooroo.